Get up to $1,500 in rebates on propane accessories. Find out how at LouisianaPropane.com. Valero, keeping America moving. Louisiana Seafood, demand it. Acme Oyster House, still grilling and chilling for over 100 years. Capital One Bank, proud partner of Cox Sports Television. And by Heineken, serving the Big Easy. We welcome you back to LP Field in Nashville, Tennessee on this Thursday night. The 2012 preseason coming to an end, and all eyes begin to concentrate on that first matchup against the Washington Redskins. Now it's time to go down to the field where Mike Neighbors is standing by with your Capital One Bank sideline report. Mike?
Thank you very much, Tim. Our Capital One Bank player you can bank on. We're going to go outside the box. He's chief of operations for this New Orleans Saints team. He's James Nagaoka, who has been invaluable when it comes to hurricane preparedness. Help him make the move to San Antonio for Katrina, to Indianapolis for Gustav, and when Isaac was hovering around Haiti on Sunday, they looked at Nagaoka once again. He had plan A here in Nashville. The hotels were booked, and once they had to evacuate on Monday, they were ready because of Nagaoka in Cincinnati. So once again, he was big. This Saints team has had to have a few change-ups this week. Tonight, they will stay here, fly back to New Orleans mid-morning tomorrow, and they've also had to switch hotels tonight. So Nagaoka, a busy man. Drew Brees, the most valuable guy on the field, he's pretty valuable off of it. That's the story down here. Back to you guys in the Capital One Bank broadcast booth.
Emergency preparedness, that's something that all teams within the National Football League and the infrastructure of the Saints have been about for quite some time, Solomon.
Well, you can't say enough about the logistics, particularly when it comes to running an NFL football team and all the things that go into really just making the players' life easier so that they can focus on playing the game.
Rob Baronis will kick it off for Tennessee. The Saints won the toss, elected to receive, obviously, and Travaris Cadet is back deep. 7 yards deep. He brings it out. And Cadet is stuffed at the 15-yard line, met by Patrick Bailey, 5 years out of Duke. And the Saints will start with Sean Canfield at the quarterback position. Virtually no one with name recognition in tonight's game, both offensively and defensively, will be participating. They got that last dress rehearsal in. A few roster spots are certainly available, and some guys will have a chance to win those roster spots or lose them in tonight's game. Travaris Cadet is the lone setback on first down. And that quick curl is to Joseph Morgan, who's one of those players that we touched on, Solomon. The wide receiving story will be something that we keep an eye on as we look at the Saints offense, brought to you by the Acme Oyster House. Ivory, a part of that tandem with Cadet, Corey Hall, the fullback, Roby, Morgan, and Higgins, the tight end. Up front, Charles Brown, Marcel Jones, the tackles, Deontay Pennell, and Eric Olson at the guards. And Matt Tennant is at center. And Chris Ivory will take it up the middle for about 3 yards. And now a chance to look at the Acme Oyster House defense of the Tennessee Titans. Morgan and Wimberly with Clayton and Klug, the tackles. Linebackers in the 4-3, Ayers, McCarthy, and Witherspoon. And the secondary, keep an eye on Verwin and McCourty along with veteran Babineau and Griffin are the safeties. Third down, short yardage. Quick pitch to Cadet. Headed near the boundary, and he fumbled it. It looked as though on the way down he did, and the Titans have it at the 23-yard line.
Wow, it's big. We saw turnovers early in the game in Houston last week, and there you see on the hit, ball does come out.
Zach Clayton, and then it appeared to be Werner that came out of there with it. There's the ball popping free, and Werner, number 20, Alteron Werner, young man out of UCLA, coming away with the recovery at the 24-yard line.
Remember, Cadet's trying to win a battle for that fifth running back position, where he's competing against Chris Ivory. Got to hold on to the football. And how about Jake Locker, named the starter over the veteran quarterback Matt Hasselbeck here in Tennessee?
A lot of people believe the reason for that, not only because he was such a high choice, but also because Hasselbeck is a veteran and can handle not starting at this stage. And in this division that the Titans are in, Solomon, one could think that if Locker doesn't pan out the way they want in the first 2 or 3 games, they could easily make the move to the veteran Hasselbeck of Super Bowls past, and he could step right in.
How do you not play him? All the quarterbacks have been taken first round over the last few years. they're playing, so Locker's got to play as well.
There you see the Louisiana Propane Dealers offense. Ringer, keep an eye on him along with Quinn Johnson. We'll see a lot of Reynaud in the backfield as well. Up front, Fernando Velasco will be the T-man at center, and you see a handoff going right up the middle. Ringer appeared to be carrying the ball inside the 25 to the 22-yard line as we look at the Saints defense, brought to you by the Louisiana Propane Dealers. Gillette and Smith coming off the edge. Bunkley and Johnson. Keep an eye on Bunkley tonight. Barrett Rude, just acquired, along with Casillas and Shanley, will be the linebackers for Steve Spagnuolo tonight. And White, Patrick Amaya, and Abdul Kudus will be the safeties. The entire Saints starting secondary is out tonight. And then Javon Ringer inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. Stopped by Barrett Rude. That's a 3-yard gain.
Many of the starters on defense not really playing in tonight's game for the New Orleans Saints. However, we're getting a lot of the first teamers on offense for the Tennessee Titans, so it's a real good battle for the second team defense for the Saints.
Well, we do have some cloudy skies overhead tonight, mostly cloudy. It does appear that the eye of the storm is in North Mississippi and Western Tennessee. Folks in Nashville are likely to dodge the remnants of Tropical Storm Isaac. Locker with time, finds an open man at the 10-yard line, and a good move outside. That's going to be a first and goal. Lavelle Hawkins on the receiving end, number 87. Jonathan Amaya undercutting after a 9-yard gain and a first down.
Well, the initial pressure was right in the face of Jake Locker, but look how the big guy, he just stands right in there. They're not able to get to him, and so we get some detachment and coverage on the back end, and he's able to make the completion. But right there, you saw Locker being able to make a play against that Saints number 2 defense.
Ringer again. It's open, but quickly closed. Linebacker coming up in a hurry to shut things down for the Saints, and also Junior Gillette as well, number 93. But Tom Johnson sort of forced that play. First and foremost, Gillette was there to polish up.
Well, if you're Steve Spagnuolo, you take a look at your defense, and you don't have a lot of starters in there, but you still expect them to play at a very high level, swarm to the quarterback, swarm and get the ball out, and really good crisp tackling.
Titans are in the Sloppy Mama Cajun seasoning red zone. Safety valve, Darius Reynaud. There he is. He got tripped up by really his own man. And I mean, he was set sail ready to go.
I thought Corey White made an excellent play.
He did.
At the foot of Reynaud and was able to get him on the ground because he is the very last man. Watch how it breaks clear all the way back to the other side. You get an over-pursuing defense, and then watch 24. There's Corey White right there swiping at the foot and saved a touchdown.
You're right. Kendall Wright, 13, was also in the general area, but that's right. Corey White saved the touchdown there. Third down. 4 wide receivers now for Tennessee. Locker looks, back shoulder pass incomplete, broken up, intended for Kendall Wright. It was Elbert Mack, number 44, the veteran from Troy, knocking that one out of there, and it'll be field goal time for the Titans.
Well, Patrick Peterson, the former first-round pick from LSU, playing for the Arizona Cardinals, had had a tough time defending against Kendall Wright, the first-round pick for the Titans at wide receiver, and that time Mack played that back shoulder fade just perfectly. In fact, I don't know that you can play it any better.
In the preseason, Rob Baronis has converted on 5 of 6. This will be a chip shot from 24 yards for him. He's got some leg. Boots it right through. So the Titans, after the Traveris Cadet fumble, get the 3 and lead it here in Nashville. Are obviously with everyone along the Alabama, Mississippi, particularly the Mississippi and Louisiana coasts that have been most affected since Hurricane Isaac came. And as recently as just within the last hour, I was made aware that there have been some levee issues in Plaquemines Parish. And you'll hear no doubt more about that when the game concludes, particularly those of you watching on Channel 8 in New Orleans. Baronis will kick it away. Cadet back deep, and he'll let this one go through. And the Saints will take over at the 20-yard line when we come back. Sean Canfield will be back on the field when we come back. Stay right where you are. Nobody. Sean Canfield. It's an opportunity for a young man to get some playing time and, oh, by the way, showcasing. That's what we call it.
And
right,
if Sean Payton, I'm sure he's somewhere watching this game. You know what he's looking for from Canfield? He wants tempo, timing, and energy. He wants that ball coming out very quick and very crisp. We saw the first pass of the game going to Joe Morgan for a completion with a quick slant. Right. They want more of the same on this possession.
Chris Ivory is in the backfield now, along with Corey Hall, and Canfield will look for Ivory. How well does he catch passes? That may be an important cog for him in this competition with Traveris Cadet. That's a 9-yard pickup. Chris Hawkins made the stop.
And Ivory's had some problems putting the ball on the ground early in training camp. In the early preseason games, you've already seen Cadet fumble on the first possession. So the ability to hold on to the ball security is priority number one. Then you look to make plays.
2nd and 1. And the thing you have to love about Ivory, those tough yards that he's able to pick up for you. And that's the other thing. He's proven in this league. He does have a 5-yard gain there and a first down.
But I ask you, when you talk about versatility in the backfield, we know Pierre Thomas can bang it in between the tackles. You know Mark Ingram can bang it in between the tackles. In my mind, obviously, their best catcher out of the backfield is Darren Sproles. If something happened to Sproles, who's going to be that guy? And that's where Cadet may have a little bit of the edge, his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah, got a Louisiana Seafood first down. And Canfield now on the bootleg will dump it underneath, and it's caught by Schumann, 83, the tight end. And for Higgins, he's out ahead for about 6 or 7 yards. Well, we'll call it 5. A long 5 yards. He was stopped by Werner. He did had that recovery of the fumble earlier to set up the field goal.
Just a little reverse bootleg. You release the fullback and drag the tight end backside. And go ahead and dump it down and try to get closer to the first down, keep the offense on schedule.
Canfield running out of time, flushed from the pocket and down. It's a 4-yard loss. Deonta Dawson coming through at defensive end. 75 to make the stop.
Now take a look. Look at his head. The head of the quarterback tells you everything. He's not seeing everything. He had Cadet who checked down just beyond the center, right over the middle of the field. Look at 39. That's where his head should go. Ball should have been out. He never should have been sacked. That's the difference between the veteran quarterbacks as opposed to the less experienced Canfield.
So now a passing situation on 3rd and 9 for Canfield, and again he goes underneath. That's Toon at long last getting a little playing time after an injury-riddled training camp. He gets out ahead for 5 yards. Akeem Ayers made the stop, number 56.
Boy, Toon is a guy who really does have to impress and didn't really get a chance. His health would not allow him to really compete during training camp. It's just unfortunate. We'll have to see what the Saints plan to do with their young, talented receiver who didn't get a chance to showcase his talents.
Morstead will boot it away, and Darius Renaud is back deep. And the veteran comes up. Has some room to work with here. Ooh, absolutely hammered at the 26-yard line by Corey Hall. Now the big fullback did not get gypped out of that one. Look at this hit as we take you to break. Hello, Darius. I know you enjoy special teams, but maybe not so much now. We'll be right back. His career receiving yards record at the University of Wisconsin. Camarillo, Graham, Roby, Toon. Text Rouse's to 269-411 to get the question sent to your phone. Text your answer back and you can win a $250 tailgate package from Rouse's. Message, data rates may apply.
You think Nick Toon broke any of his dad, Al Toon's records at Wisconsin? Just put on that.
That pass is incomplete by Locker. Thrown underneath. Johnny Patrick was back there covering.
Well, you saw the rollout by Locker. This is something that, maybe he provides that Matt Hasselbeck, the more veteran quarterback, does not provide. The ability to get out of the pocket, throw the ball on the run. He's big, strong, very athletic, with a very strong arm. So there's no doubt if you put great weapons around him, he could take this offense maybe someplace where it didn't go last year.
Damian Williams and Kendall Wright are the wide receivers. And this is Ringer taking it across the right side and just shy of the 30-yard line. They'll mark it at the 29, a gain of just a yard for Javon. They've had we were talking about Raynard on the special teams a few moments ago. They lost Mariani, who was one of their go-to guys in special teams.
Former Pro Bowler.
Yeah, and it appears that the Titans now will have both Harper and Raynaud, who were probably competing for a roster spot prior to that broken leg.
Well, they really like Darius Raynaud. He's excellent speed. They think he can be a breakaway threat in special teams.
We'll see plenty of him later tonight from Mike Munchak. Locker trying to redirect. Of course, this is what he brings to the table that's extra special. Outstanding athlete is Jake Locker, 16 yards. And I think that's the dimension that Mike Munchak's looking for when he makes the decision to go with him over Haskell.
They would love for him to be a pocket passer and make plays from the pocket. But in the event things break down, the ability to extend plays, and defenses can't prepare for that. It's just as simple as that. Once he gets out of the pocket, he saw that first down marker, his ability to improvise is maybe something that you don't prepare for during the week. And you see Coach Spagnuolo say, wow, we had him stop until Locker made a play.
Ringer cutting inside, but is stopped by number 71 for the Saints.
The Tennessee Titans believe that they get Kenny Britt back at the wide receiver position to go along with first-round pick Kendall Wright and then Nate Washington. And with Jared Cook, athletic tight end, and a really good offensive line. They have Chris Johnson running behind it. Mike Munchak feels like this offense could be very special if they can get those host of weapons healthy and on the field at the same time.
It was Buckley that made the stop, I beg your pardon. And it's second down. Locker again with time. And it's caught up against the end zone of the sidelines, and he's out of bounds. They're going to rule it incomplete. Jared Cook was the receiver that time. Corey White was with him, but they rule him out of bounds.
And this is a big mistake by Cook. He's got to know where he's at on the field. Come back to the ball. Don't just step out of bounds because he's got Corey White in position. If he misses that, he could easily pick up a first down. So not being aware where you're at on the field cost him a chance to pick up a first down.
Third and 7. Locker. He got hammered as he let that one go around the neck, too. Great play by Akeem Hicks. Got him right around the neck. Underneath, listen, that's not a violation. That's just a good defensive play with pressure.
Well, can you go to the head of a player with a forcible blow to the quarterback? The rules state that you can't. But we do have replacement officials, and there's a lot of things they're taking a look at. But the rule states that you cannot go to the head of the quarterback with a forcible blow.
It looked almost like a horse collar, didn't it? I mean, it more so than a forcible blow to the head. It looked like he had him.
Yeah. But it was a forcible blow.
Yes, it was. The intent was forced, yes. Yeah.
If you talk to Jake Locker, I guarantee you it rung his bell a bit.
Well, that boot is into the end zone by Brett Kern. Through the touchback, and we've got the ball at the 20-yard line to the Saints when we return. You make the call at home because one day you could be a replacement official, couldn't you?
Kane's chicken fingers notes. He came out of the gate strong in training camp. A great first 2 weeks of practice, but Nick Toon hurt his foot and missed the first 4 preseason games. A big game for him tonight. This team is very high on him. Speaking of wide receivers, Adrian Arrington and Andy Tanner won't compete tonight, but Joe Vitt told us this week Arrington should be okay for the opener against the Redskins. And it's a case of better Sproles than sorry, because Darren Sproles is a guy who probably could play tonight in a lot of preseason games, but they're going to be safe with him. He didn't contribute last preseason, guys. It worked out pretty well. Back up to you in the Capital One Bank broadcast booth.
Yeah, no need to see Sproles as Ivory is stopped after a gain of a couple. Second down and 8 coming up. Listen, Toon, he probably needs a showcase really badly. I'm guessing number 88 is saying, I can't wait to make a few plays.
Right? He needs to make some plays tonight, you're right.
Canfield's pass is caught by Higgins. That was well thrown, put right where it needed to be. And Higgins is up ahead beyond the 35-yard line. We'll call it a 17-yard gain. Jordan Babineau knocking him out of bounds.
And this time, Canfield was very short. Look at the head of the quarterback. He goes down, and he goes down hard, but he stands in there and delivers a strike over to Higgins.
That was Mike Martin, the third-round draft pick, rookie out of Michigan, that popped Canfield as he let it get away. Play fake. Sean's pass is underneath to Traveris Cadet, who wants to atone for that fumble, I'm sure. Stopped at the 42 after a gain of 5. Tim Shaw, the middle linebacker, from what used to be known for years as linebacker U, Penn State, making the tackle.
And now we're seeing Canfield sort of operate with a lot more certainty. That time he came back, great ball fake, had his head up down the field and checked it down immediately, getting the ball out of his hands. And now the offense is on the move, looking a lot more crisp.
Ivory. How about that high hurdle? Wow. That was almost London-esque. He stopped just shy of midfield after a gain of 5. Again, it's Babineau that got him. This could have gone a long way if he'd had another inch or two.
Yeah, if he could just break the shoestring tackle, because that's what it was. Look at that. By the shoestrings, they pull him down. He hurdles one, but Babineau, look, catches the foot right there, or he's gone. He's going to run a long way. Just nice run by Chris Ivory. Very aggressive attacking the line of scrimmage.
Joseph Morgan's come back into the game, and Cadet re-enters. Burrows ahead to midfield, maybe to the 49 of the Titans. Mike Martin again making the stop. Well, Golden Flake Snack Foods is powering the CST Twitter account tonight. Tweet your questions or comments to @CoxSportsTV, and our announcers will pick out the best ones, and we'll bring them. Canfield, oh, that's a nice route run. The pass a little overthrown. Looking for Toon, who was open at the 20-yard line.
Well, Canfield had to, and he does overthrow him. And remember, Toon has been battling a foot injury. You have to wonder, can he accelerate to this ball and close on it? But he was open, and that should have been a completed pass by Canfield.
3rd down and 8 coming up for the Saints. Trips to the left for Canfield. Most of his receivers in that direction. And there's Morgan for the first down. Well, Joseph Morgan's had some touchdown catches, as you know, in this preseason. He's been very effective for the Saints. Cody Sensabaugh made the stop.
In my mind, I think Morgan has performed the best of any of the backup receivers, looking to replace Robert Meacham as that 4th wide receiver. He's repeatedly done it from week 1 to this week, continuing to put up big numbers.
You see the numbers, that was his 12th reception of the preseason. Now with some pressure, Canfield overthrows Cadet. And it'll be 2nd and 10 coming up.
Courtney Roby has played well also, and Courtney Roby also plays well on special teams. So might it be Joe Morgan as that 4th wide receiver, Courtney Roby as the 5th?
Well, they're not going to sneak any of these receivers onto the 53-man squad with a practice team.
Not going to happen.
That's not going to happen. Joe Vitt knows it. Mickey Loomis knows it. This entire organization is well aware that they are deep at that position. Ivory. Textbook Chris Ivory run inside the 25 to near the 20-yard line. Tim Shaw, the tackle after a 9-yard gain.
You can go back to 2006, the first year Sean Payton of a roster that Mickey Loomis, the general manager, has built with the New Orleans Saints.
Hall is at fullback, and he leads the way for Ivory, but nothing doing there. My guess is his forward progress may have gotten him enough for the first down, but we'll have to see. Mike Martin makes the tackle, his 2nd tackle of the game. I think they're going to say that he's just a little short, and that will bring on Garrett Hartley for a field goal try. First quarter of tonight's game is brought to you by Verizon. Morstead will hold. Hartley, because of his youth, one suspects might be the leader in the clubhouse right now in the battle for the field goal kicking position with John Casey, the veteran. It's right center for 3. And the Saints have tied this one up. There's a slight draw on this one, a power draw off the tee for Garrett to knot the game at 3 out of the hold of Morstead. Placement officials in week 1, they're going to be there. Jaguars GM says they're not going to get rid of Maurice Jones-Drew, and why not? The Giants and Pats, again with a late field goal, they get the job done to the New York Football Giants, even in the preseason. Maurice Jones-Drew, what do you make of that? I mean, I'm amazed that we just had them a couple of weeks ago that it's lasted this long.
Well, he's got 2 years left on his current contract, and you have a new owner who showed up and saying, hey.
I think Mr. Khan has said he's laid down the gauntlet, hasn't he?
Well, you've got to come in and go to work before we'll talk about more money.
That kick comes down to Raynaud again. He almost got through that little crease out to the 23-yard line. Courtney Roby was down there right away, number 15, to lead the charge, a 22-yard return by Raynaud. The other thing that I noticed about Jacksonville that was in the news last week, they're now planning in 2013 to play 2 home games across the pond in London. What do you make of that?
Well, part of it is the commissioner of the NFL's initiative to try to raise the stature of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they've been willing to participate and partner with the NFL to promote the game across the pond over in Europe. And so I think it's a collaborative effort, and I think it's a very good one.
Pass is underneath by Locker. Craig Stevens, the tight end, number 88, veteran from California. Ahead for a couple of yards, and that should be the final play of the first quarter. Both teams have managed a field goal. The Saints did turn it over in their opening series and then had a decent drive to get Hartley free for a field goal. Second quarter action coming up here on CST. Stay right where you are. There's our Rouse's Market score. All tied up at 3. In Napa Auto Parts. Tim Brando, Solomon Wilcox, and Mike Neighbors with you. You look at the statistical data, the Louisiana Propane Dealers first quarter stats. And given the fact that we don't see any of the Saints starters, from an offensive standpoint, they've run the ball pretty well. That's been about it. On second down, Locker with a play fake. He plans to play about 5 series tonight. That pass is caught. A little tightrope act by Damian Williams. 15-yard gain and a first down.
Now you see the talents of Jake Locker. This is a phenomenal throw. I thought it was well defended. Maybe Corey White can get their hair sooner, but look at the small window that ball is thrown into to Damian Williams. Wonderful throw, clear to the other side of the field between 2 Saints defenders by Jake Locker standing in the pocket. Very strong arm.
Locker swings it out. That's Raynaud. We talk about his ability to break free, how elusive he can be. That was an example of it there. He made that a 9-yard gain. It could have gone for 3 or 4 with a normal back.
Steve Spagnuolo will tell you that Matt should have made the tackle in the flat. But Raynaud's got such sweet feet. Very quick, very darting, able to be very elusive in the open field, make the defender miss.
On second and short, they're going to air it out again, and that pass almost picked off. Intended for Raynaud, and then it got knocked around a little bit. Barrett Root had a shot at it, 55. That's a guy right there we can keep an eye on tonight, Solomon, because as this season begins, it's going to be important that the veteran that they acquired play well.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And Root is a guy that can make some plays. You see, Raynaud tried to make a catch. Root almost had it. The ball went through a sea of hands.
It did. Third down and short yardage coming up. See the numbers on Locker, 5 of 10 for 32 yards so far. They'll roll it out a little bit here. They love to do that with him. That was a dangerous pass, but it's caught by Hawkins. And again, not many guys can make that throw. Locker's got zip, and rolling out, it enabled him some room to work.
Now watch Johnny Patrick, number 32. You don't throw it late across your body over the middle. Look at that.
Oh.
He thought he had it.
Yes, he did.
He zipped it right through the hands of Johnny Patrick, and then it was a completion. And you can see Hawkins is able to make a catch. I think Johnny Patrick should have intercepted the ball.
12-yard gain, and I think that it surprised him how quick that pass got up to his receiver. He just mistimed it with Johnny Patrick. Locker down, airing it out long, incomplete. Looking for Damian Williams, who had Johnny Patrick beat. Pass was over perhaps the wrong shoulder for him, and he couldn't catch up to it.
Oh, this should have been a touchdown because he's working against Patrick, and Hawkins just comes open. But he lofts it up, and then Hawkins can't find it. Yeah, it was thrown over the other shoulder.
Yep.
You got to throw that ball and leading over the front side shoulder.
He knew it. Look at that reaction.
It was Damian Williams actually on the play.
You could tell that Locker knew that one got away from him. Ball's on the ground, but recovered by Raynaud, and he stumbles forward to the 40-yard line.
Raynaud is one of those players that's got such tremendous speed and versatility. Had played some wide receiver at West Virginia, and now you see him lining up in the backfield. He'll play special teams. Very quick, very fast.
Reminds me a lot of a guy that they moved from running back to wide receiver, played with Buffalo out of LSU, Josh Reed. Remember that?
I do.
That name? You could line him up almost anywhere.
And he would make a play.
Yeah. Yep. Jamie Harper, 23, is coming to the game, replacing Raynaud, and Locker will find him. Safety valve maneuver. He is dumped in a hurry. Nice defensive work by Patrick that time, coming up and run support to make the play.
Patrick making his coach smile over there. Steve Spagnuolo wants crisp, clean tackling, no yards after contact, and you can see upends Harper, gets him on the ground immediately.
Brett Kern comes in to punt it away. Number of pundits around the National Football League, I think we're curious as to Spagnuolo not getting the nod as the interim. But given what we learned early in the season and throughout the preseason, as you see that boot high in the air and Cadet dangerously comes up stumbling to take the grab, calling a fair catch. I'm not surprised at all. I want to talk a little bit about that when we come back, Solomon. The decision to go with Cromer. We are hopeful that there are brighter days ahead in New Orleans. Know that we're thinking about you. And we hope you're enjoying tonight's game. Purpose yards in a single game did Darren Sproles break. And we'll have the answer for you momentarily. That's a single season now. That's the important part. Chase Daniel and Drew Brees looking on as Sean Canfield continues to run the offense for the Saints tonight. Neither of those guys will play. That's Joe Banyard taking it ahead. The free agent, number 36, by way of Texas El Paso, out for a 4-yard gain.
Now you just talked about Darren Sproles. What a gift did Drew Brees receive when he came over from Drew Brees' former team. You know, Drew's grabbing all these guys that he had played with. Greg Camarillo is another guy who had played with him in San Diego.
Canfield this time lofting it for 83. That's the tight end Schumann, and he's got it inside the 40 to the 36-yard line. It's a 40-yard pickup to the tight end.
A well-designed play, getting Derek Schumann open across field. Roll back one way, and then it's a complete throwback as Schumann gets behind the defense and is able to make the catch by sheer design. And you have to love the way I think Pete Carmichael has been able to set up many of these plays over the last few preseason games. More and more explosive plays in the Saints offense.
1st and 10. Canfield looks for and finds Cadet at the 30. It's a gain of 6. Zach Brown making the stop.
And I love the way Canfield is running this offense. We've seen Chase Daniel do it in the preseason. where he's completing over 70% of his passes. Now Sean Canfield is proving that in this Saints offense, boy, if you just subscribe to the tenets taught to you by Coach Payton and Pete Carmichael, you can make plays.
Quick look into Morgan. With that speed, he's got a quick burst. An easy first down inside the 20 to the 18-yard line. In a lot of ways, if you're an aficionado of the game, you will find, Solomon, that this system, the offensive system of the New Orleans, when you got backups out there, it really tells you a lot about it.
And that's what Aaron Cromer's talked about now as the second interim head coach. He says everyone wants to follow the formula Sean Payton has left behind. They believe there's a formula in place for them to succeed in his absence.
Cadet, a little shake and bake maneuver to get outside and manage inside the 15 to about the 13, a gain of 6 for Travaris Cadet.
Well, you talk about the formula left behind by Sean Payton, even Mickey Loomis, when we talked to him about, okay, how are you going to replace Joe Vitt once he serves his suspension? He said that they wanted to make the fewest changes on both sides of the ball, that they wanted the least amount of impact, not someone who's going to come in and make this huge impact. I really think they have minimized the distraction.
Inside the Slap-Your-Arm Cajun seasoning red zone, the Saints have managed to get it down to the 5 as Higgins takes it in. That's a 6-yard pickup. Stopped by Jason McCourty.
This offense is clicking. Look, fake handoff, reverse bootleg, dump it off to Higgins. Can he make someone miss? Still keeping the offense on schedule, picking up a first down. Just got to love this, the way this offense is operating now with a lot of the third stringers on the offensive line and at many positions on offense.
Tommy Campbell, 37, actually, rather than McCourty making that stop for Tennessee. First and goal for the Saints. Cadet, look at him reverse his field. That's some of that dexterity you were talking about.
That's the part that maybe he gives you in his ability. We've seen him catch the ball out of the backfield, where I think he's a complement to, if something happened to Darren Sproles, you still can run your full complement of offense because he's more like Darren Sproles than he is the other backs of Pierre Thomas and Mark Ingram, where I think Chris Ivory sort of mimics those two. Cadet mimics most Darren Sproles.
Second and goal. Looking for Tune. Incomplete. Boy, that one could have been caught. Over there covering was Jordan Babineau, 26, but 88 had a real good shot at this one and didn't come down with it.
It's a good throw. It hits the hands of Nick Tune. And in the NFL, if it hits your hands, you got to hold on to it. Because all Babineau did was pull his arm. You've got to be able to corral that. We saw a wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens in that same position in an AFC Championship game 1 year ago against the Patriots. He couldn't hold it in. One team went to the Super Bowl, the other didn't.
Made a difference. Underneath, Cadet is nailed at the 2-yard line, a pickup of 4. Tavares paid for that one once he made the catch. Tim Shaw and Babineau collaborate.
You can see Cadet was calling for it right away. As soon as he turned around, he's patting his hands, he's clapping, saying, don't wait till they get closer to me to throw it. Throw it now so I can make a move and possibly score.
Hartley with the field goal try of 21 yards. So a drop touchdown pass by Tune. Perhaps we should remind fans that Jonathan Pittman was a 4th-round draft pick. Didn't make it, and Pierre Thomas did 1 year. It has happened. Legit is getting free live scoring and instant video highlights. Go Legit. Sign up for free at NFL.com/fantasy. Let's take a quick look now at the Rouse's Market scoring drive. That was an excellent drive engineered by Canfield, wasn't it?
I thought it was. 10 plays, 78 yards. He did have a throw that I thought should have been a touchdown that went off the hands of Nick Tune as he was fighting for it in the end zone. So Canfield showing that he can lead this offense, and he's doing it against a defense with a lot of their starters in there for the Tennessee Titans.
I want to correct myself. It was Antonio Pittman that was the 4th-round pick.
That's right.
He was a 4th-round pick, and Pierre Thomas came out of nowhere as a free agent. And you think now about the competition at that position at wide receiver and the pickup of Camarillo. You see a nice return by Craig Stevens of a squib kick out to the 38, 39-yard line. That's a 26-yard return. The point being, just because you're drafted doesn't always mean you're going to make it. Business decisions sometimes are shoved aside when a player earns a roster spot. I got to be honest with you, this is a tough one. I'm thinking players like Priest Holmes. I think, who did you say? Marshall Faulk?
Marshall Faulk or LaDainian Tomlinson, perhaps.
And the answer is
Derek Mason.
How about that?
Former Tennessee Titan Derek Mason.
And there was a time.
Good one.
There was a time when he was the top option here.
Oh man,
offensively.
He was a weapon.
Jake Locker swings it out to Raynaud. Oh, what a smooth move that was past Corey White. It was a flying Walinda act around the 43, 44-yard line, and he picks up 7 on the play.
I like Raynaud now. He's aggressive. He attacks. He gets airborne. Quick feet. You got to love it. Look at him darting. He can barely pull his flag. You need help from other defenders like Anderson to get him on the ground.
By the way, that was the I'm often asked about the Walindas. That was the trapeze act. It's
high wire act.
Telling you how old I am when I use the Walinda.
Yeah.
Second down. Locker finding his open man. That's Kendall Wright for the first down inside the Saints 40.
Now watch Mack. Mack is going to be lined up on the left side against Wright, and he stumbles. He's falling while Wright's catching the ball. Just had he been able to keep his footing, he would have been able to make a play on the ball and possibly come away with an interception.
Colin Mooney is in at the fullback position now. Walker again lost this one up. Going fade, and it's caught. Interference anyway, committed by the Saints, it would appear. Corey White, 24, had his arm out, and it was reeled in and caught by the Titans. Looked like 13, Kendall Wright again.
Kendall Wright played at Baylor with RG3. He's a first-round pick of the Tennessee Titans.
Pass interference. Offense, number 13.
Wow, how about that?
10-yard penalty.
Wow.
Repeat first down.
I got to tell you, most guys were hand fighting for the ball. Now, you either keep the flag in your pocket. How do you decide who the pass interference is on?
No, wait a minute. Hang on.
Right there. There you go. So it was a hand bar to the face. I think this is a great call by the officials. I stand corrected.
Well, they got that one right.
They really did.
I must tell you that, to me, the greatest debate about replacement officials in preseason, just in the fundamental calls of plays, has been in pass interference.
It has.
They got that one right.
It's just been a great inconsistency, but they certainly got that one right.
First and 15 after the penalty. And they go to the tight end. Amaya was there with him, but Jared Cook, 89, takes it in.
Going back, that was our first penalty of the game, so this has been a clean, hard-fought game. And you take a look at Locker going downfield. We talked about Cook being a really good matchup at the tight end position for these Tennessee Titans. You get Kenny Britt back. We've seen Kendall Wright. We know about Nate Washington. And Cook is a guy that, he's no Jimmy Graham. I'm not going to go that far, but he is capable of making plays.
That was an 18-yard gain, and it's a first down for Tennessee. Right on. Again, a beautiful move to get past White about 4 yards beyond the line of scrimmage. And that turns into a 9-yard gain.
And Leroy Harris get the block downfield. And it's just one of those things where now if you're the Saints on defense, you've got to tighten up because they've been able to make some plays, whether it's throwing it or running it.
There have been some safeties that have missed opportunities and tackles as you look at the Slap Your Mama Cajun Seasoning red zone that they're in. Raynaud again, bouncing it outside with a stretch play, and he's run out of terrain. Hauled down by Rude.
Rude does a really good job of staying inside out of the runner. He knows how to run and tackle. Yeah, trying to tackle that one did a little bit different. Chris Johnson, perennial 1,000-yard rusher. One time 2,000-yard rusher here with the Tennessee Titans a few years back.
We were here a couple of years ago, and he was a holdout that season. But they got that thing ironed out, and if they're going to compete in their division, and some people believe they will, he's got to have another 1,000-yard plus year. Jamie Harper's now coming as the lone setback. On the look-in pattern, incomplete. Intended again for Kendall Wright, who's been a favorite target for Locker in the early going tonight.
Locker's got to learn that when you throw that slant route in the teeth of the defense, you cannot overthrow it. You can't throw it high. Keep it down around the knees where your receiver can go dig it out. That ball was dangerously thrown outside. You lead your receiver into harm's way when you do it. Corey White was defending on the play, and had Corey White just laid back, he could have caught it and picked it off himself.
A lot of upside to Locker, but sometimes he will airmail a few of those passes. That strong arm of his. But here's the upside. To the downside, a fumble, and it's recovered by Elbert Mack. 44, Elbert Mack comes out of there with it. And it was forced by Abdul Kudus, 42. This is an outstanding defensive play by the Saints as they recovered, and a lesson in hard knocks for Jake Locker.
Look at Mike Munchak as you take a look at him, and Joe Vince saying we're lucky to get off the field. Mike Munchak saying to his quarterback, you've got to protect the ball. It's priority number one.
Kudus knocked it loose, and the Saints have it when we return. Weeks ago at the Superdome, you and me.
Oh, I love the Louisiana seafood.
There's Camarillo on the receiving end. Greg Camarillo, you mentioned him a moment ago. I wanted to touch base with you on the decision to go with him, because when you acquire another wide receiver, some people may be saying, well, wait a minute, I thought they were deep at that position. But this guy brings something special to the table.
He brings a rapport and a relationship with Drew Brees. I think where he impacts you, if something happened to Lance Moore, do you have a replacement for that slot receiver position? I don't think so. With Greg Camarillo, you have someone who can fill in the spot.
That is the tight end, Derek Schumann again, who had that big 40-yard reception that helped lead the Saints to their lone field goal of the night.
Oh, the tight ends have been a factor, whether it's Higgins, whether it's Schumann, catching the ball down the field, a lot of drags, a lot of bootlegs, getting them out in space where Canfield has been very accurate throwing the ball. He's only missed one, I think, to Nick Toon, where he had Toon open, but you can see 14 of 17 so far in this game, and one dropped by Toon that I thought should have been a touchdown, but Canfield has really looked good in the first and second quarter of this game.
Yes, he has. Timeout taken with the 2-minute warning, and obviously a couple of field goals for the Saints, and Schumann's catch, that last 40-yarder, gave Hortley the chance to give them the lead for Joe Vitt. We'll be right back. Calco Hotard Group. It all starts on September the 9th with the Redskins, and then at Carolina. You know, getting through to that bye week is going to be so important for Aaron Kromer and this Saints team that's without so much of its staff and players.
Remember, Joe Vitt's going to serve a 6-game suspension.
That's
he
right.
won't be due back until October 28th at the Denver Broncos is when he'll return to resume his position as the interim head coach of the New Orleans Saints. So those first 6 games, he'll be bye-bye until they get to Denver.
And a lot will be discussed about Aaron Kromer in the coming weeks. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Eric Ritchie and Victor Howell will be in our Louisiana Cat studios to discuss what's ahead for New Orleans and look at the highlights as well. Kromer, I think we should give him a lot of credit, too, for that incredible offensive line that's been created these last 5 years while the Saints have flourished. And a premature movement, just as I mentioned that. One of his offensive linemen with a move early.
Start. Offense. Number 71. 5-yard penalty. Remains 3rd down.
That's Charles Brown, the left tackle that moved prematurely. Aaron Kromer from Miami of Ohio. Got out in '89. He was a scholar athlete with the National Football Foundation. Conclusion of his collegiate career. And as we mentioned, earned his stripes as an assistant coach in Tampa prior to coming to New Orleans. Cadet is in the backfield, and Canfield looking for him. It's incomplete.
Well, going back to Aaron Kromer to show you just how good of a coach he is, he's part offensive coordinator. He coordinates the running game, and yes, he is the offensive line coach, but over the last few years, he's fashioned and groomed 3 Pro Bowlers on that offensive line. Carl Nix, Jamad Bushrod, who had filled in for Jamal Brown. Remember that? And he sort of groomed him to help him go to a Pro Bowl, and then Jari Evans. And so you're talking about guys who weren't highly drafted still going to Pro Bowls simply because of good coaching and talent.
Thomas Morstad will boot it away, fresh with a new contract, high in the air, and Woods is retrieving it. It goes out of bounds, and so does Woods at the 31-yard line. Join us at the 16th Annual Vicari Classic and Muscle Car Auction during Cruising the Coast on October 12th and 13th at the Mississippi Coast Coliseum in Biloxi, Mississippi. Visit VicariAuction.com for details. By the way, we should send out to all of those fans of the New Orleans Saints along the Mississippi Gulf Coast from Waveland all the way across to Pascagoula where the shipyards are located. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your neighbors as well. The aftermath of Hurricane Isaac. Matt Hasselbeck is coming to the game at quarterback to replace Locker, so his night is done. Midway through the second quarter.
False start. Offense, number 59. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And with the help of supporters like you, we remind you that the Red Cross is on the ground responding to Hurricane Isaac that devastated parts of our home state, South Louisiana. The Red Cross provides shelter and food and comfort to give families in South Louisiana hope. All you need to do is text Red Cross to 9-0-999 to donate $10. Hasselbeck throwing it underneath to Raynaud. Markers down, and Raynaud stopped just beyond the 30, holding the preliminary indication against Tennessee.
Holding. Offense, number 68. 10-yard penalty. Still first down.
David Scott is our white hat tonight. Rich Shavinsky is our judge. And you look at the left side of your screen where this took place.
Yeah, Junior Gillette is coming around. He was forced to hold him to keep Junior Gillette from getting the sack. I think the flag was on 60, Kevin Matthews.
No, 68. Stingley.
68, yeah.
Who is in a battle, we should mention, with number 70. We'll see Troy Kropog, who's a Tulanian. Members of the Green Wave trying to make this team in Tennessee. We'll see him later on. Raynaud. Oh, he can dance, can he? Wow, I mean, he should have been stopped 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and he managed the 19, a gain of 3.
I think it was Akeem Hicks knifing in and made him miss at point-blank range. He's in his mustache, he still couldn't tackle.
He's had a good preseason, though,
really
as Hicks, hasn't he? Really has. Second and long for Hasselbeck, and he throws it underneath. 84, Taylor Thompson on the receiving end, the 5th-round draft pick from SMU. He's ahead for 7 yards. Still 3rd and long. Saints are giving that underneath with the down and distance, and it's Raynaud corralled at the 35-yard line. Jonathan Amaya, the first to get there. Lawrence Wilson, 53, came over to help out. A gain of 11.
Looks like they're going to go for it.
Yeah, they are. Trying to go fast. A little hurry up here for the Titans offensively and Matt Hasselbeck.
It's going to be a no snap.
Yeah, they're trying to get that premature movement, aren't they?
Yep. Good defense, good focus in terms of the discipline by the defenders for the New Orleans Saints.
I think the fans had a problem with it, too. I think the locals weren't happy with that. They wanted to see Matt go ahead and run it.
They wanted him to go for it.
Yeah, he did. This copyrighted telecast of New Orleans Saints football may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the New Orleans Saints and Cox Sports Television. And gosh, I think you and I have been doing this now, since the 06 season? Wasn't that the first year? I think,
seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's been, it really has been so enjoyable.
Our thanks to Jeff Brenner and Rod Michler and all the fine people with Cox Sports Television, our producer Scott Snyder, our entire crew that's been with us each of those years.
First class all the way,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. And to those of you watching all throughout the Gulf South region, know how much we appreciate all the accolades that you give to CST and the people that are bringing you Saints football in the preseason. It means a great deal to Cox Sports Television. Brett Kern will punt it away. Cadet Lets that one go out of bounds. And the half has come to an end. We have some halftime activities at our Louisiana Cat Studios where Victor Howell, who worked a lot just to make it in there, will be by along with Eric Ritchie, and we'll be back shortly. Stay right where you are. Hey, one of my favorite towns to visit in the South. The New Orleans Saints leading at 6-3 as we get ready to start the third quarter. And again, for Solomon Wilcox, Mike Neighbors, and our entire crew, our thoughts and prayers are with everyone along the Gulf Coast and hope that you are holding up well. I'll say this, Sean Canfield, it's a statement about what happens when you know it's your game. They hand you the ball, and we've not seen him play this well all preseason
And we're
long.
used to seeing that from the other quarterbacks, whether it's Drew Brees, we've seen it from Chase Daniel, but to have your third-string quarterback come in and operate with such a high level of proficiency, I think it bodes well to the formula that Sean Payton has laid down for this offense and for many of his quarterbacks. He's come in, and Canfield has led the offense up and down the field. Only 2 field goals to show for it, but he's done a wonderful job of completing passes at a high percentage.
I got to tell you also, I'm of the belief as we get ready to watch this second half that Canfield is making his old coach Mike Riley at Oregon State pretty happy. Let's go down and get a Capital One Bank sideline report from Mike Neighbors. Mike?
Thank you very much. You know, guys, the NFL is ever-changing, but on the Saints roster, you have 3 constants. Marcus Colston, Lance Moore, and Devery Henderson. Together, they are the longest-tenured receiving corps currently playing together in the NFL. They've been together. This will be their 7th season, and they put up some pretty good numbers in the past 6 years. How about over 13,000 receiving yards, 913 catches, and 94 touchdowns? Where they're different is how they celebrate those touchdowns. This week, we had a chance to put together Lance Moore's greatest hits. He likes to mix it up, every touchdown score. He says he gets his ideas from YouTube, from Twitter, fan suggestions. We got a kick out of having them all 3 kind of critique it. You know, Marcus Colston says there's no chance I'll ever celebrate like that in the end zone. Devery Henderson, though, says, you know what, if I practiced it, maybe I could pull it off down the road later this season. They may celebrate different. They're all productive guys, and no receiving corps in the NFL has currently been together longer. Back up you guys in the Capital One Bank broadcast booth.
Yes, indeed. Well, maybe one day. He's too big a star, though, to be on Dancing with the Stars. Here's our Rouse's Market second half kickoff. DJ Woods is going to bring it out from 9 yards deep. And he is stopped about 6 yards shy of where he needed to get, and that's the 20, stopped by Corey Hall. About a 23-yard return, given the fact that he was 9 yards deep. You look at the possession chart for the first half as Matt Hasselbeck comes out. Not a lot accomplished by Locker, particularly given that fumble after their best drive. And that was a mistake that the young man made. And they'll be talking, I believe, in this town about the quarterback situation as the regular season begins.
Yeah, he would have liked to have been more productive, but that red zone possession where he fumbled the ball, that one's critical. Very crucial. You can't have it happen.
Jamie Harper's in the backfield. And on the curl, the pass is caught by Damian Williams, who along really with Kendall Wright have been the 2 favorite targets. Junior Gillette over there to make the stop, number 93, and the flag is down.
Personal foul, face mask on the defense, number 22. 15 yards from the end of the run, automatic first down.
Well, that's one you don't want to give up. Jose Gomes picking it up, the free safety, the free agent from Monmouth. Somebody they're really pretty high on, too. And they'll march out the 15 yards and the first down. Third quarter is brought to you by Verizon. And we'll move it out to the 32-yard line. Lavelle Hawkins is coming to the game wide to the top of your screen with the ball at the 32. Harper ahead for about 2, running into Akeem Hicks and a host of other Saints, including Will Herring, 54, backup linebacker, and someone that believes that he can start in this league.
Well, you just love the backups that they have on this defense. You mentioned Akeem Hicks. He's a backup that offers a tremendous rotation on the defensive line. Will Herring is good enough to start for a lot of teams in the National Football League as a backup player and linebacker. But you have to feel very secure what he brings to the table.
Win tight ends as Harper again is stopped. Ahead for about 2 yards that time. Turk McBride, number 90. Got a little help from Tom Johnson, 96 as well.
How about old reliable Scott Chandler? in terms of what Shanley brings, the depth that the linebacker, smart players, played in a lot of big games, including the Super Bowl.
Third down for Hasselbeck. Hawkins comes to the bottom of your screen, right to the top. And that pass is thrown a little underneath. Might be good for a first down. Caught by Kendall Wright. He just cradled it. And Hasselbeck there looked like the veteran that he is.
Well, how about Tom Johnson, 96, big defensive tackle for the Saints, was draped all over him when he cut it loose. Still completed the pass.
16-yard gain and a first down for the Titans. And I think they're going to red flag it.
Oh, the Saints are going to take a look at it.
Yep.
And to see if it was really a completion. That's why Hasselbeck, being savvy, we try to get his offense up to the line of scrimmage, get the ball snapped before they threw out the red flag. Go back and take a look at it. Ball's a little wobbly. Or is he able to?
I like where his arms are. Did he complete the catch? So the ball was moving. The ball was moving, though, as he brought it in, wasn't it? See a little jostling going on?
Just don't know if you have anything conclusive to go by.
Watch the movement. That's not the angle that you're going to see it. Hasselbeck hurrying to get him up there.
See, he knows it's an unsure thing. So let's get it snapped before they throw the red flag.
The first angle we showed you appeared to be the best angle to see, and that movement of the football. You talked about it on what was the touchdown catch thrown a couple of weeks ago in the Jacksonville game. That was held up as a touchdown, but sometimes when that ball is moving around as the act of receiving the ball is being concluded, that becomes problematic.
Well,
whether the ball was ruled a reception or not.
Well, first, you have to start by the fact that it was ruled a completion in the field of play. So they go under the hood. Now they're looking for any kind of evidence, and they need clear visual evidence that's very clear to overturn it. Did the ball move? Did that ball touch the ground? Did it come loose in any way, shape, or form? And we can feel strongly one way, but if you don't have clear visual evidence of it, then the call on the field would stand. It would be upheld. So you need clear visual evidence in order to overturn it.
The Ochsner Saints Back to Football 5K is coming up on Saturday, September 8th, benefiting the 2013 New Orleans Super Bowl host committee. The 5K run will start at Champion Square and finish on the 50-yard line inside the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, where you will be cheered on by the Saintsations. Watch your finish on the big screen as you enter the stadium, and then celebrate with fellow Saints fans at the post-race tailgate party and Bud Light Beer Garden. Every entrant will receive a Saints-branded finisher headband and running technical shirt. The event will fill up soon, so sign up today. www.nflrunners.com/Saints. That's NFLRunSeries.com, I beg your pardon, /Saints. And again, the act of receiving the ball, watch the movement of the ball. This is the angle I was talking about. You do see movement right there of the ball. See his hands moving around? He was trying to cradle the ball coming in. Many would argue that that ball moving around would necessitate an overrule, that he in fact caught the ball. But we did not see that in the end zone on the touchdown catch that was thrown against the Jaguars. They went the other way with it. That's one of the things with these replays, with the replacement officials. The white hat still controls things. That's the one major discrepancy between the way the NFL handles replay and college football, which allows for the guys in the booth to take over. The white hat has control here.
Well, the key is listen to the explanation.
Yeah.
After further review, the ruling on the field is reversed. The ball hit the ground and was not possessed by the receiver. It will be 4th down and 6 at the 36. Please reset the game clock to 13:26.
Well, they were satisfied that the ball movement was brought by the fact that the cone of the ball at some point had hit the ground. I didn't notice that in the replay. What I noticed was that the ball was moving as he was trying to make the act of catch, complete the act of catch.
His explanation was that After he attempted to make the catch, the ball still moved.
Yeah.
After he rolled over, the ball was still moving. Now, Joe Vitt and his coaching staff, it happened right in front of them on their sideline.
Yeah.
So smartly throwing out the red flag and challenging the call.
Brett Kern will punt it away. And Cadet is back deep. Out of bounds is the kick. At or around the 15-yard line. That's where the Saints should take over. First and 10. Well, they may move it up, maybe to the 16-yard line. We'll see Canfield, Higgins, steady diet of Cadet and or Ivory at running back. I look forward to seeing some of Camarillo because, as you mentioned, he is the potential backup to Lance Moore. There you see the possession chart for the Saints, and that long 78-yard drive was the one where Toon dropped a touchdown pass. Joe Banyard has also got to get some playing time. He's in the game right now. Pass is caught by Higgins, and he's out to the 29-yard line. I tell you, Canfield is really getting rid of the ball much more quickly tonight than we have seen, granted, in mop-up duty in some prior preseason games.
And that's what we talked about at the beginning of the game. The tenets of this offense laid down by Sean Payton are timing, tempo, and the ability to get the ball out quickly for the quarterback and accurately as well.
Banyard remaining in the game. Head for a couple of yards, and that's all. Push back. First to get there was Zach Brown, second-round draft pick from North Carolina, 6'1", 240. He is a specimen.
Yes, he is. Big man in the middle. Titans have always fielded very strong teams, offense and defensive line. Very powerful.
Canfield with the play fake to Cadet, and this pass is picked off. His first real error of the night. Tim Shaw with the interception. That ball should never have been thrown in that direction.
No, Canfield, I don't know how he didn't see it. Shaw just ran right to the spot and stayed there and waited well before Canfield ever even cut the ball loose.
After a stellar first half, the first big mistake by the former Oregon State Beaver. Tim Brando, Solomon Wilcox, and Mike Neighbors, happy to have you with us after the interception. Titans take over with Rusty Smith at quarterback, and get some reverse field and a move by Jamie Harper to get out of bounds after an 8-yard pickup.
Good little run. His ability to cut back after breaking contain, and Jose Gums overruns him. They should have never been able to get outside. He's got to be able to make that tackle sooner in the backfield.
Nice block by Taylor Thompson to help springboard that 8-yard gain for Harper. Twin tight end look for Rusty Smith, number 11. In for Hasselbeck. That pass incomplete, right off the fingertips of Michael Preston. 1 year out of Heidelberg. Jose Gums over there.
I thought Gums was going to intercept it. He breaks on it well. Look, gets there a little early. See, and then he missed times. Of course, it's thrown high because he was there, but he had a perfect angle for intercept. Had the ball maybe been thrown on the money. I thought he was in a good position to break on it and pick it off.
This is a Saints team that's gotten a lot deeper at the cornerback position in the last couple of years as Harper burrows ahead inside the 25 with the 23. Mickey Loomis is going to be stopping by. Of course, he's the guy that's put together this group, and I remember talking to him prior to the first game in New England, back in Foxborough, and he was talking about the area that they felt they had met a need in, and that was at cornerback, and even having safeties that could play corner. But
a lot of depth on the back end of that defense. I wonder if he'll tell us what he's going to do at wide receiver and running. I'm curious.
We'll have some fun with him.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop asking questions.
We could crack the code. Let's see if we can get him to talk.
A lot of decisions for Mickey and Joe Vitt to make prior to midnight tonight in the aftermath of this game. Time now for our Golden Flake Ask the Announcer question. Tim and Solomon, let's see, what do you think the Saints record will be this season? That from @Blake Willie. What do you think?
I'm going to go 11 or more. I still think this is a team good enough to win the division, go deep into the postseason, but 11 in the regular season.
I'll be more specific.
Or plus.
I'll be more specific. I'm going to say they go 12 and 4.
Okay.
That's one less than a year ago. I see number 9 as unfazed by what's happened with this off-field and in locker room situation that's taken place in the offseason. I think he's up to it. I think this team is, from an offensive standpoint, a pretty well-oiled machine. And they may be better defensively as Harper takes it inside the 10. That's a first down and first and goal coming up for the Titans. That's a 15-yard jaunt.
No containment at the line of scrimmage. He immediately was able to break containment and get outside. Well, look, everyone goes underneath. They seal off the edge of the defense. No one's there to force him back inside. Only until he gets to the sideline is Albert Mack able to get him out of bounds, and that's what Steve Spagnuolo is not happy about. We've seen this happen even in the preseason game against Jacksonville, where the runner continued to break containment and get outside.
Michael Preston, the wide receiver, had a nice block that time down the field. Harper again on the delay. Spin away, but could not. Plenty of help coming from the Saints perimeter after Turk McBride, number 90, made the first stop. Jericho Nelson also coming in there.
Played much better that time at the point of attack. McBride didn't let him get outside. And depending on the call of the defense, you have different players who may be responsible for containing the ball and not allowing it to get outside. Sometimes Spags will have the defensive end have containment. Other times be the outside linebacker.
Inside the Slap Ya Mama Cajun seasoning red zone, these Titans. Rusty Smith looks for it, running a curl. He's got his receiver inside the 5 near the 3-yard line. And that's DJ Woods. 6-yard pickup.
Tight coverage, but nonetheless, Woods able to make the catch underneath. No yards after the catch as they swarm to make the tackle. Be Wilson as well as Gomes.
Well, the Titans just activated Kenny Britt. And you see a double tight end look again for the Titans. Woods is down at the bottom of your screen. On third down. Harper. Boy, and did he get in? He did. He was hit behind the line of scrimmage by Herring, bounced off and spun in. A little stick-to-itiveness by Jamie Harper for the touchdown.
It's a soft edge of the defense. That's what it's been on this drive. Herring knifes in. Look at the hit right there. Can't make the tackle, but the edge is soft where he spins out and around other defenders to create the touchdown.
Jericho Nelson was a little late in getting there after that initial hit was made by Herring.
Just good second effort by Harper.
So the Titans now take a 9-6 lead. Second touchdown of the season, of the preseason for Harper. And they're taking a look at it as they
coming right
must
at
do.
You. Now watch him spin out. See, Mack's got to go and make that tackle. How was Mack not able to make that tackle? He was unblocked in the backfield, number 44 Mack, and he allows him to spin outside and get into the end zone.
This may be worth another look because as he was spinning and taking the ball in,
you saw knee down?
I don't think the posterior was down. Take a look at the
one posterior equals a knee.
There's the derriere. Okay,
there you go. Yeah, that equals a knee, which means down before. But is that ball across the goal line? By the angle of our camera,
right,
we can't tell.
Yeah.
The previous play is under review.
As a visiting broadcast team, our camera locations are not as good as the home team cameras might be. But if in fact I'm going to be politically correct, his back end was down before his arm reached across
the officials have always told me
line.
One cheek equals a knee. It's okay.
And with that, we understandably will go to break. Timeout. We're under review. for the moment, that's your score. Got on this review of the touchdown.
After further review, the calling on the field stands. Touchdown.
And again, we have to see Vince's reaction to it, but the camera angle that we had, and we're not the home team broadcast unit, so the location that we have is as good as we can give you here.
Right there down, but his arm was, according to the officials, extended beyond the end zone at that point.
And the replays.
I think that's clear.
Yeah.
I think right there it's a good angle. You can tell there by the time he had touched down, the ball had crossed the plane of the goal line.
And as we mentioned, the replays that they're seeing are the same ones that the home team cameras can give you. And so it does count. And the kick by Baronis is good, and the Titans lead it 10-6. Back to Nashville after this. Fantasy football. NFL.com Fantasy offers a legit NFL managed league with free live scoring and instant video highlights. Go legit. Sign up for free at NFL.com/fantasy. And a look at the Rouse's market scoring drive. 33 yards on 7 plays, culminating with the Harper touchdown run. Traveris Cadet is back deep, awaiting the boot from Rob Baronis. Don't you know he'd like to just maybe put an exclamation point on his preseason with a special play on special teams. And he's out beyond the 25 to the 27-yard line. He is electrifying. He's one of those guys that if he doesn't play here, he's going to play somewhere.
And he's fearless. As you saw him return that kick, he was deep in his end zone, and he hit the hole without blinking. I think ball protection is priority number one. He can make a lot of things happen as a runner, as a receiver, and on special teams. You're right about that. And you won't be able to keep him a secret.
No.
That's for sure.
Been some speculation, Solomon. I want to talk about it with you as we see Cadet carrying it off the left side. And again, a very strong run out to the 33, maybe 34-yard line. And there's Chris Ivory and some of the others that you see along that sidelines for New Orleans. But you get the feeling, based on all the running backs that they have and the linebacking situation, could there be one of these guys that would be worth a lot on the open market? Here's Cadet again, trying to bounce free and cutting it back inside ahead to the 42-yard line.
The problem is, as you get so close to that deadline of by Friday tomorrow night, you got to release maybe one of these backs. Say a team like Detroit, who's thirsty for a good, talented running back. Yeah, they would like the trade to ensure that they get one, but they know you've got to cut one loose.
That's right.
So they may lay out and allow you to cut one, and then try to pick them up afterwards.
Vanguard has come back into the game, and here's Canfield looking for Camarillo. And Camarillo's got it. Knocked out about the 47. I was talking a little earlier with Mickey Loomis, and he'll be with us here in the fourth quarter. Camarillo, going back, mentioned San Diego, though, he and Drew Brees just established an off-season relationship. And Drew would go back and just throw it around a group of receivers and quarterbacks, and you start looking for good route runners late in the year, and as you mentioned, someone that could spell Lance Moore if in fact he gets hurt, and he's been hurt before. He fits the bill as number 17. Canfield's going to throw that one away. Well, relationships and then the organization reacting to those relationships with a guy like Drew means a lot, doesn't it?
Well, Drew Brees, I think, has earned the right to maybe have at least some input.
Yeah.
Well, not that he's making the final decision, but to have some input as the players he's going to surround himself with in that huddle at crucial moments in games. If there's a nick or an injury to a Colston or to a Moore at that slot receiver position, that he would be able to weigh in on who that replacement might be. Who do you feel comfortable with, Drew? Someone you can trust at key moments during the season.
Vanguard just stopped a couple of yards inside 45. of the Titans, as you see Camarillo making his way back onto the field. He's been around the league a while. He's proven himself.
He has.
And as you mentioned, Lance Moore is a guy that just brings something to the table that, as good as the rest of the receivers are, no one else has what he has.
And you see him lined up in Lance Moore's position at that slot receiver position. See if he can get open.
That pass almost picked off, intended for Toon, and it was 55. The linebacker, Zach Brown, who's played very well, the second-round pick out of North Carolina.
I think Canfield's kind of forcing the ball a little bit to Nick Toon. He already had one intercepted, trying to get it to Nick Toon. The head comes right towards Toon. The linebacker reads it and nearly picks it off. Never even looked him off, and that's where veteran quarterbacks could have done a better job of looking Zach Brown off. Instead, he takes the linebacker Brown right to the football.
Morstead to cut it away. He pooches it towards DJ Woods, who calls for a fair catch at the 7, maybe the 8-yard line. 37-yard boot by Morstead. Full moon over Nashville. Isaac has turned towards the northwest, it appears. The outer band's out over Memphis and Oxford, Mississippi tonight. Which Saints player broke his dad's career receiving yards record? I think the texters took your cue, Mr. Will Kotz. I think they did.
Well, Al Toon was not only a great player at the University of Wisconsin, the father of Saints rookie Nick Toon, but he was a great player for the New York Jets. Remember, they came out in the same draft the same year as Jerry Rice. And early in Al Toon's career, the first 2-3 years were better than that of the great Jerry Rice. How's that?
And you're so correct. Anyone that was watching those games in those first few years knew that about him. As you see Javon Winger cut it back. Gets out beyond the 10 to near the 12-yard line. A pickup of 4. And some of the Houdats made their way here. Of course, the Saints have been here a while, as has our production crew, after a stop in Cincinnati for a day and some workouts at the Bengals location. We've got a Titan down on the field. As you see Ryan Duran down to the 77.
Remember, we said priority number 1, this final preseason game for the Saints, stay healthy.
Yeah. Let's take a look now at our Town Place Suites by Marriott NFL scoreboard as teams are finishing up the preseason. Giants getting it done with one more field goal against the Patriots. Redskins, who are first up on the Saints' radar come the regular season a week from Sunday, handling Tampa Bay with ease. Cowboys beating Miami. A lot of people think Dallas, because they're a little under the radar this year, not nearly as much drama. They may be poised to make a move in the NFC East. Atlanta and Jacksonville tied at 14 in the fourth quarter. The issue for Dallas is getting people healthy, particularly Jason Witten.
Well, I just don't think they get enough credit for the good quarterback they have in Tony Romo.
Yeah.
I think Tony Romo is a good enough quarterback to go out and win a championship. You talk about putting the team around him, defense playing better, the running game continuing to perform and play well. And you talked about getting healthy, Jason Witten. They have a really good football team, and I think Tony Romo, who has put up huge numbers throughout his career, the only thing missing, that's right, is a championship, but I think he's capable, and he's got a good chance of winning the championship as any of the other quarterbacks.
Well, I said under the radar. Now they won't be if they beat the Giants the opening week. They'll no longer be. But by Dallas standards, this is a Cowboys team with far little buzz than normal
I think
in the
people
preseason.
tend to overreact to the Cowboys no matter what they do.
Yeah.
If they play well, they're world beaters.
Yeah, right.
And if they don't have a good game or play poorly, they're bums.
Yeah.
And boy, that's a lot of pressure playing in that market, playing for that owner, of course, who set very high standards for the Dallas Cowboys. And what Troy Aikman and Roger Staubach has done, there's a lot of pressure on Tony Romo.
Well, don't change the channel after the game, because we'll have in-depth post-game coverage with Saints tonight. Mike Neighbors will have your player interviews, including our exclusive one-on-one with Drew Brees. Victor Howell and Eric Ritchie will break down the game from the Louisiana Cats studio in New Orleans, and highlights and more. Saints tonight, right after the game, only on CST. That pass is caught. The tight end, Taylor Thompson again, out to the 25-yard line. Nelson, first to make contact for the Saints.
Ray Thompson was wide open. He caught it, rumbled for a nice little yard where he was left unattended in the Saints secondary.
And Aaron Anderson, also the linebacker, was there to help. Number 46 just into the game. There's a Butler who's also checked in for New Orleans. Number 67 at linebacker. Smith's pass incomplete, thrown behind Taylor Thompson that time.
We've seen the last of Jake Locker. We've seen the last of Matt Hasselbeck. Smith comes in. So now they're playing with their third-string quarterback, where the Saints have played the entire game with Sean Canfield, who was the Saints' third-string QB.
And the delay, Javon Ringer is out to the 29-yard line, gain of 5, a flag down. You know, you come to Tennessee and you can't help, at some point you're going to think of the old guard.
Holding, offense, number 69, 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Eddie George and company in that run that they made under Jeff Fisher to a Super Bowl, and just inches away from perhaps getting a win in Atlanta that year. Hard to believe, 6 years removed, Vince Young, the third pick in the 2006 draft, may well be out of the league. He was released by the Buffalo Bills. General manager Buddy Nix let him go in favor of the acquisition of Tavares Jackson. Hard to believe, Vince Young out of the league in 6 years, possibly.
It's amazing.
I mean, you think that pass is thrown away, some pressure being given by Braylon Broughton there, number 62. And he had to dump it, get rid of it.
Well, Broughton did the right thing. He kept running, didn't take the pump fake. So he did go off his feet just a little bit, but he continued to pursue the quarterback. Too many pass rushers, when the quarterback goes to fake that throw, they'll jump. And it takes them out of an opportunity to get the sack. Stay on your feet, run through the quarterback.
Smith with time, dumps it underneath to Javon Ringer, and he is horse-collared at the 21-yard line. Strong tackle by Lawrence Wilson.
Well, you love the pursuit by Wilson. That was like rodeo. He came in, they're talking about tackling position and how to come in. Well, he did that picture perfect. Look at this. There's no way Javon Ringer's getting away here. Look at this. Got him in the sights, wrap him up, boom.
That's one of those tackles you don't get many opportunities to see during the course of preseason. They don't practice that as often as they used to.
Yeah, we've seen the Saints defense miss a lot of tackles against Jacksonville. This game so far, only 2 missed tackles, so they're getting sure of that part of their game.
Cadet back deep awaiting the punt. He is fearless, isn't he? Absolutely fearless. Ushered out of bounds beyond the 45 to the 47. I mean, he is doing everything in his power to make this 53-man roster.
I just love the competitive spirit. He's not going to fair catch it. No, I can't make the club fair catching footballs. No. But look at him breathing down his neck, and he catches it with a blue jersey standing right next to him, and then turns it into a nice game.
Now they're saying a block in the back committed by the Saints that was negligible, but it's going to mark it back. I thought it was kind of a nickel-dimer. Let's take a look at the left-hand side of your screen. Still, it was a nice run by Cadet, regardless of whether this block was legal or not. I'm not buying that.
No, there was no push, no shove. I saw Roby even started to drop his hands.
I wasn't buying it when I saw it live, and I'm not buying it now. Those types of calls come regular season week 1 will not be met with nearly as much ease by the team that's guilty as it has been of late. As you see, Banyard in the game, moving ahead, stopped by Scott Solomon, number 90.
Well, here's the deal. Even the regular officials don't catch everything.
Sure.
But NFL fans want to believe they're getting the best. And so in the event that something is missed, it's going to be called into question. But these guys aren't the best. The best are sitting at home during the lockout.
Morgan on the receiving end of the curl pattern, and he was dumped in a hurry after that pass from Canfield. Tommy Campbell making the stop.
There's Canfield. Just continue to fire and get it away. And, oh, Campbell. Nice physical tackle against Morgan.
Textbook.
They sure did. You know, the NFL has that new initiative. Keep your head up. It's a heads-up program for the youth and teaching them how to tackle in a clean and proper way to avoid concussions and injuries. I think it's a wonderful initiative. And we're going to see, I think, NFL players as they matriculate the youth through high school football, college football, and then find their way into the NFL. We're going to see the head-to-head hits taken out of the game.
Now it's time for our LSU Alumni Spotlight, sponsored by the Cook Hotel and Conference Center at LSU. Chris Hawkins got a national championship back in 2007. Congratulations to him. Canfield is running for his life, dumps it to Banyard, and he's spun down at the 44, maybe 45-yard line, very close to the first down. Yeah. Some pressure that time coming from Dejon Harris, the free agent out of USC. And Canfield, avoiding that rush, was able to find his man. Third down and short coming up.
Look at this. Good footwork. Get rid of it. And there you see Banyard.
Eric Olson moved prematurely. Let's take a look at what happened to Joseph Morgan at the end of that play.
Yeah, Morgan came up. Oh, there's right foot. Got some people around the foot area.
Number 62 of the defense.
Then a guy
5-yard penalty.
takes a shot to his ribs.
A little extracurricular activity whistled against the Titans to move the ball ahead for a first down. And this drive stays alive for Canfield in midfield. Toon and Courtney Roby line up at the bottom of your screen. Canfield throwing across to Cadet. Incomplete. Well, maybe he did catch it. I think he did reel it in. But was dumped immediately for a negligible gain, if any at all.
It was just well covered by the Tennessee Titans defense. Canfield wanted to go upfield with it. Was forced to just check it down and throw it underneath to Cadet.
Pretty nice catch, though.
It was a nice catch. Caught it right off his tips of his shoes, yeah.
On second down, here he goes again.
I just love the way he runs.
I do, too. I really do.
Hard runner. Fast, quick, darting. And competing. Joe Vitt and his staff, boy, that's going to be a tough
lot to think
Chris
about.
Ivory
Yep.
or Tavares Cadet. What do?
What does it tell you that it's Cadet that's out there and Ivory's done for the night? Are you getting any subliminal thoughts about that as they take Morgan into the locker room?
We'll wait. If he pops a big one, then it'll tell me a lot.
Canfield, incomplete. Pass was a little underthrown. It was intended for Camarillo. Cody Senzabaugh, the cornerback, was over there, and it's going to be fourth down. Well, it's the end of the third. The Titans lead it 10-6. Your Rouse's Market score. We'll return to Music City. Mickey Loomis is going to join us shortly. Stay right where you are. Brought to you by Cajun Injector. And let's take a look at the Window World stats now through three quarters. Really a pretty good night with the exception of one bad pass that was picked off, thrown by Sean Canfield. Cadets had a really good night running the football too. But the Saints trail by 4, and on fourth down, they've elected to go for it. See if they can keep this drive alive. Canfield's pass, boy, they flooded the zone beautifully, and there's Cadet open for the first down.
Cadet so nifty. getting it beyond the first down marker as he gets out of bounds. And I thought there was a continuation of the tackle where he slammed to the ground even though he was out of bounds. Watch this play. Now watch this here. See, that second motion warrants a flag. That's unnecessary roughness, but you know, that's upper division stuff for the replacement.
Looks like we got something else brewing, and it's against the Saints. Courtney Roby may have been tagged with holding, I think, in that block that he made.
Well, they clearly missed on the unnecessary roughness.
Yeah. I think they got Roby for holding on what appeared to be a block that was just prior to his going out of bounds. And we still haven't received word on that from the officials, but that's not the first time that we've had an issue with protocol with regard to game management from the replacement official. So on fourth down, Morstead will boot it away. DJ Woods calls for the fair catch and has it at the 11-yard line. And the beat goes on as preseason action continues here in Nashville. Early on in the fourth, Tennessee nursing a 4-point lead. Thursday, watch Outside the Huddle featuring the Saints in the community, and we'll bring you live coverage of the Monday Coaches Press Conference the day after each game at 11:30. CST, your regional sports network home for the New Orleans Saints. Washington Smith continues at quarterback, 3 years out of Florida Atlantic, and he hits one long for Woods, and it's incomplete. Holmes was back there with him. Corey White, too.
Corey White.
Yeah,
Corey White, the initial defender on the play, did a wonderful job. I thought the receiver had a step on it, but he was able to work his way back into position and make a play. I thought it was just a great heads-up play and good reaction and recovery.
On second down, Smith has Woods down at the bottom of the screen. Carrying is Jamie Harper, number 23, for the Titans, ahead for a couple of yards. Harper's going to check out of the game. Some mass substitutions being made by the Titans to get the ball out to the 13-yard line where it's third down and long. DJ Woods is down at the bottom of your screen. Mack is checking him. Corey White is the defender working on the opposite side against Woods. And here's pressure from the Saints, and that pass is incomplete. And it will bring up a fourth down, and the Saints are going to have some decent field position when they get the football back, one would think.
Well, the defense and the pressure is there. And I can't say enough about this third-string defense and the depth that you have on the football field. Players like a Corey White continuing to make plays. Pass rushes there. Coverage on the back end. Steve Spagnuolo coaching them up. Doing a wonderful job of keeping the Titans offense at bay.
Brent Kern will punt it away. Should get it off at about his 3 or 4 yard line. And Cadet, I still keep waiting for that magical moment. You know he's going to bring it back if the sideline just will allow, and it doesn't. They kicked it to the boundary. Not a bad idea, because there's no such thing as a fair catch. And that kid, in golf, if it's a par 5, that guy's never going to lay up. He's always going to get to the green in 2. We'll be right back. Skiing executive that's running both organizations, Mickey Loomis, joins us now here in our booth, and you see a little headgear leaving as I think that was Banyard that got the football that time and moved ahead. Great to have you up here. Just as we're talking about starting the regular season in football, you got Hornets basketball to be thinking about too. You are a multitasker in these most difficult times, aren't you?
Well, look, it's exciting for us to have Mr. Benson by the Hornets and all the things that have happened. Since he purchased that team, it gets pretty easy if you win the lottery and you get the first pick of the draft. But we've got a great young coach, Monty Williams, and a really good young GM and Del Demps, and And if I can lend a hand here and there, then I'm all for it.
But you got your hands full trying to cut down from 75 to 53 players by Friday evening. Talk to us about some of the tough battles at different positions, because we're looking at this wide receiver position, the running backs. I like Tavares Cadet, and then you've got Chris Ivory. 5 running backs, can't keep them all. Talk to us about just how they're competing for that position.
Well, we do have a tough decision or two to make. At the running back position, wide receiver position. There's some other guys that have shown up on defense, and so we'll get together in the morning, and it always comes down to the last 2 or 3 spots, and look, we're not going to give up good football players even if it means we're a little heavy at one position or another.
Banyard, by the way, did get shaken up just a little bit on that play when he lost his helmet, and Cadet has come back in, and Tavares gets ahead for about another yard or 2. I got to tell you, the Ivory Cadet competition, going back really to the start of this preseason, has been one of the most compelling to watch. Regardless of the decision you make, it's good news or good news.
Well, early on you think that a guy like Tavares, you can maybe sneak through and get to the practice squad, but he's performed so well each game, beginning with the Hall of Fame game all the way through this preseason, and so that's going to be hard to do. And Chris Ivory has proven he can play in the league, and he's a real fine running back. So again, we've got a tough decision there to make, and we'll see how it plays out.
It's got to make it even difficult because they have different skill sets where they're both tough runners, but Cadet is so good catching it out of the backfield, so good at special teams, and Ivory is a power inside guy. You kind of like to just have them both and not have to make a tough decision.
And meanwhile, as they're doing some work on the oral cavity of Banyard, he hasn't looked bad either.
No, he's done real well for himself, and overshadowed obviously by Cadet, but you're right, Solly. They do have different skill sets, and that's a good thing. Look, it's good to have healthy competition. It's good to have 5 or 6 players that are NFL caliber running backs. We've had a history of having a lot of running backs, and yet we've had years where we've had guys injured, so it doesn't help or it doesn't hurt to stack them up.
Yeah, don't want to run out at the end of the year. And talk to us more about a Joseph Morgan and a Courtney Roby. You're trying to find someone to be that 4th wide receiver after losing through free agency Robert Meacham, and how that competition is shaping up.
Yeah, look, we're looking for someone to step up and fill Robert's role. I think all of the guys have done well at times. It's been disappointing that Adrian Arrington was injured and missed a good portion of training camp, and the same thing with Nick Toon. So, look, we like both of those players, but yet we haven't been able to see everything that they can do in this preseason. So it's going to be a tough decision. But again, I think we've got NFL caliber players, there, and so we're not going to make a bad decision. It's just a matter of making the best one for our team.
Nice tackle here by Lamar Dibbins coming through to catch Cadet behind the line of scrimmage. I think you raised perhaps a few eyebrows when you picked up Camarillo, the veteran, to basically play in that slot position that is Lance Moore's normal slot. And I know that Drew Brees has had a relationship with Camarillo for some time. He's been in the league a long while. But you're so deep at that wide receiver position, I think it raised a few eyebrows when you brought him in.
Well, look, one thing is that we were having injuries with Nick Toon and Adrian Arrington, too. Adrian's a veteran player, has been in our program, and Nick obviously was a draft pick for us this year. And so we needed another guy, and here's a player who's a good player, has had success in the league, and worst case scenario, he gets trained in our program, and if we have an injury during the season, we can call him back if he doesn't make our team on this cutdown.
Pass floats a little bit on Canfield, and it's intercepted by Tommy Campbell, number 37 for Tennessee, down at the 27-yard line. Mickey is going to hang with us for a little while here in the 4th quarter. You don't mind, do you? So it's a rite of passage into the regular season. Stay right where you are, folks. We'll return with Mickey Loomis after this. And yours truly, Tim Brando. We were talking with you in Foxborough as the preseason was getting underway, and you talked about musts, needs, and wants as you were addressing the season. How do you feel, at least through the preseason, you've handled the musts, the needs, and the wants?
Well, I think we've handled them pretty good. It's what happens is that becomes kind of a changing animal as some of our rookies and do well, and we learn more about them. And then when you have an injury like Chris Chamberlain had that put him out down for the year, and that changes your priorities somewhat. So, but look, I feel good about our team.
We would be remiss if we didn't ask you about the emergency preparedness of your organization and of this team during the time that Isaac was predicted to be coming ashore. Take us through what that was like this past week, and was it an eerie feeling going back to 2005?
Well, it's we're experienced. Unfortunately, we're experienced in that drill, and we have really good people in our operations department, James Nagaoka and Jay Romig and Dennis Lauscha, and just a number of people in our front office that can respond at a moment's notice and move 125 people in with less than a 24-hour notice. So what's eerie is just thinking about the folks that are back home and the damage that's possible. Obviously, when you go to Cincinnati, you've got one eye on the television,
sure,
and on the internet, looking for news and hoping for the best, and so it is a little bit distracting. But I think that our organization, our coaches and players have a great capacity to focus on their preparation and yet still keep the home front in mind.
Looks like Johnny Patrick is hurt for the Saints, and you don't want to see that, I know. May have happened right here on the tackle.
Yeah, you definitely in this fourth preseason game, you're looking to get out healthy, and Johnny's going to be a contributor to our team this year, and so we'll hope for the best there.
You were discussing with us, and Solomon, the ability to have safeties that can play corners and corners that can play safety, and the kind of balance. You feel a lot better about your back end going into this season than you have in prior years, don't you?
Well, I feel good when Jabari Greer gets healthy.
Yeah.
Because he's such an important and good player for us, and his veteran leadership and just his ability to cover wide receivers is really important to us. I think Patrick Robinson's made some strides this year, and I'm excited about that. And then Malcolm Jenkins is the versatile player that we have. He can line up out there at corner if we had to, play nickel, and obviously he's a real good safety for us.
I know you guys had always talked about who's that nickel corner going to be, or that fourth corner. Corey White is a guy that he just looked better and better each and every week during the preseason.
Yes, he's made a lot of progress, Solly, and when you get a smaller college guy, you're always worried about the transition to the NFL and the maturity, and I think he's done a real good job of that. We've been pleased with him. We'll see when the real bullets fly here in a week or two, but we're excited about his prospects.
On another note, even before naming Aaron Cromer as your second interim coach, you said that you didn't want to disturb the coaching staff. You wanted to keep the consistency and continuity. You didn't want to make a huge splash there. Just give us an idea of how you wanted to compartmentalize what the coaches are going to do as you move forward.
Yeah, first of all, and I've said this a number of times, we had a number of really good candidates. On our staff for that job, and all would have done a great job. But at the end of the day, I thought it was best for our organization if Pete was able to concentrate on the offense, Steve concentrate on installing his new defense, and Aaron. And look, I don't want to minimize the job he does with our offensive line, because he's been an important coach for us in the run game and with the protections, and he'll continue to be able to do that. He's got an able assistant in Frank Smith, and so I just felt like that was the best thing for our team.
Give us your thoughts as you forge ahead and you look at the circumstances that you have as Cadet sets sail ahead beyond the 40 to the 42-yard line with regard to this regular season and all of these decisions that have to be made before tonight, and there are a lot of them. Not just because of the players and the cut downs, but organizationally. The responsibilities for everyone so unique, so different, given everything this organization's gone through. Ricky.
Yeah, well, look, it's business as usual for us. Look, it's not business as usual that Joe is going to miss the first 6 weeks, and I'm going to miss the first 8, and Sean's going to miss this season. But it is business as usual in terms of the processes that we use, the way that we make decisions, the input that we get from a number of really capable people in our building. I'm not worried about it. We've got as I've said, we've got a real capable coaching staff, and we have a great front office. Ryan Pace and Kai Harley and Rick Reifrich and a number of the other guys in our office will do their jobs, and they'll do them well, and they'll make good decisions.
Well, that's the thing that I've noticed in the time that we've been together during the preseason. From the outside in, if you're not with the Saints on a regular basis, you look at it and it's almost insurmountable, one would think. And yet, so much has been in place, and I guess having number 9 certainly doesn't hurt in that regard either. Everyone seems to know what is necessary to be done, and I think that was illustrated last week in that really good live tune-up against the Texans. You had to come away from that week feeling really good about where you were as an organization going into week 1 of the regular season.
Well, look, I've been pleased with the response in our building from the very beginning of this, and it comes down to trust and support within the building of each other, the players, the coaches, the front office, our ownership, and I just can't say enough about the way that they've responded under this adversity. And I would say this too: I think the adversity looks bigger from the outside than we view it from the inside.
Yeah. Well, you got to trust your process, right? And your process has proven to be a formula for success.
Yeah, it has, and it doesn't hurt the number 9s out there.
That's right.
But tell us something, Mickey, about Aaron Kromer that perhaps we don't know. I can go down the list of what he's accomplished as an offensive line coach for your team. His time in Tampa prior to that, he was a National Football Foundation scholar athlete at Miami. But you've got to know something about him that we don't know. What would that be?
Well, number 1, he's this tall, skinny guy that you see now, and if you look at a picture of him in college, you wouldn't recognize him because he was about 300 pounds, I think.
Wow.
And look, the only other thing I know about him that you might not know is he's a pretty good YOLO boarder.
Canfield lost it as he was trying to get away from pressure, and the Titans have recovered inside the Saints 40 at about the 38-yard line. Well, short of that and an interception, Sean's had a pretty decent night tonight.
Yeah, he's done some good things.
Yeah.
And look, he's developed over the last couple of years and continues to develop. He's got good role models in front of him, and Drew and Chase, and we expect good things from him.
Fantastic to have you up here with us. We really do appreciate not only the time that you've given us, but in addition to that, the opportunity to continue to call your games in the preseason. It's nice for us, gets us lathered up for the regular season. For him and the NFL, for me in college, thanks for having us back.
Thank you, Tim. Solly, thank you guys for the job you do.
Real pro.
Good luck with all those decisions before the strike of midnight tonight.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay? That's Mickey Loomis. We'll be back with more after this.
Game. Let's take a look at the Valero play of the game. Earlier in the first half, Sean Canfield to Derek Schumann. Big play down the field, catching the Tennessee Titans defense sleeping. That is your Valero play of the game.
Well done. Pretty soon you'll want to do everything. And bursting through the middle, Darius Raynaud gets ahead for a first down at the 27-yard line of New Orleans. Now they may mark it back at 28, so it's a yard shy of the first down. I beg your pardon. I'd given him the first. He's about a yard shy.
Oh, it was nice and catching up with General Manager Mickey Loomis. Boy, just such a plan, one after another in terms of the things that they've had to deal with.
Oh, yeah.
You could tell they're so confident, comfortable with one another. They feel they have a formula in place for success. And he mentioned, of course, having Drew Brees really do help you feel good about it.
I beg your pardon. I was correct the first time. It is a first down. And here's Raynaud again. And the Saints are there to grab him about a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Corey White, the first to get there. He's been very active tonight. Well, again, my thoughts were like just about everyone else's. With everything that Bounty Gate had given this organization, you wondered, would they ever have a chance to mentally get beyond it? And right away, first trip in and meeting with Joe Vitt, talking with Mickey, I got that feeling, and certainly Drew Brees, having him signed, I think when they did sign him, was very important. And Aaron Kromer seems to be the right interim for the right interim at just the right time.
I talk about, as I go around the National Football League and visiting teams, and then I go back and talking in production meetings, and I can't tell people enough about many of the assistant coaches who you've never heard of who are sending players to Pro Bowls each and every year. Guys like an Aaron Cromer, guys like a Joe Vick, guys like a Pete Carmichael and Steve Spagnuolo. It is the assistant coaches, as you well know. They're working every single day in meeting rooms with players, helping them to improve. And that's why you feel good about this coaching staff and about this football team, because they have very important people in place in important areas.
On 3rd and 12, Smith getting some pressure, and he's going to be wrapped up. Big 75. Tyron Walker coming through. That free agent's looked awfully good in the preseason, too. This is a Saints defensive front that's got some, with Hicks and with Walker. You look at Martez Wilson, who's got such great speed, a sack and a half during the preseason. They have really improved in that area of the game. We've come to the 2-minute warning here in the 4th quarter of the 5th and final preseason game for the New Orleans Saints, where Ernest Tubb used to play some string music. We'll be back. Thoughts and prayers are with all along the Mississippi and Louisiana Gulf Coast tonight. With the help of supporters like you, the American Red Cross is on the ground responding to Hurricane Isaac, now turned Tropical Storm Isaac, that devastated South Louisiana. The Red Cross provides shelter, food, and comfort to give families in South Louisiana hope. To donate today, visit your South Louisiana Red Cross chapter. Punt time for Brett Kern and the Titans. I believe they put Camarillo back there again. He's standing at his 10-yard line. Thinking ahead about these decisions that have to be made, and the understanding that Will Smith will not be a part of this team as the season gets underway. I tell you, having guys like Wilson, who talked about the speed of that defensive front, and guys like a Junior Gillette. Well, Remy Adele was let go earlier this week. What do you make of that? What does that tell you, Solomon?
It tells you that they're very good. And they're very comfortable with what the 3rd-round pick, Akeem Hicks, has brought to the table. Cedric Ellis has played wonderful during training camp. You teamed him up with Broderick Bunkley. You know you feel good inside, but you're so talented with depth on the outside. Will Smith, Junior Gillette, Martez Wilson, and Cameron Jordan at defensive end. Now maybe they look at Turk McBride as a swing guy who can go outside at defensive end and come inside and play at the tackle position.
I loved hearing Mickey bemoaning the fact that Cadet had done so well that they can't hide him on the practice squad. That you'd like to. No, I think the Trimmers heard around the league about the talented Traveris Cadet. You cannot hide that. Talent will always shine.
No developmental squad for him.
No. Schumann had that catch about 5 yards ahead, and now a first down catch by Traveris beyond the 30 to the 32-yard line in the arms of Zach Brown.
And I thought he said something very interesting. Maybe they keep a little bit more. Maybe you expected them to keep 4 running backs. Maybe they keep 5 guys.
Saints going hurry up. Markers down. That pass was airmailed over Camarillo, and a flag is down. Thrown in an area where there's holding.
Offense, number 61. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Deontay Pennell.
How many times have we seen the Saints, maybe over the last few years, get to the end of the season in the playoffs and all of their running backs are hurt?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this is that sign. Maybe 5 is the number to keep as opposed to 4, like they've done the past few years.
I've been asked a few times from Saints fans on a certain radio show that I do from time to time. Yeah, Solomon, you've been a guest on it. About maybe letting one of those guys go, and in fact, who would be the kind of back that would garner marketability, guy that people would give up a player for. And you know, the names that are always going to pop up are the ones that are drafted highly. You see a flag down as that pass was caught by Cadet, and he's out to the 34, 35-yard line. When you draft guys highly at that position, particularly in Cadet, is slow to get up.
Tripping.
Yep.
On the offense, number 65. 15-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
And a bad mistake by Tennant there. 55, the center. Yeah, you just can't do that, and Cadet did get hit pretty hard.
Cody Sensabaugh, 24. laid a lick
Sure did.
on Cadet.
But the name that pops up, oftentimes from fans, and we'll talk about that when we come back. It's a wonderful conversation piece, promise. I promise you. 1 minute and 7 seconds left in the preseason. We'll be We apologize for missing one play. Corey Hall dropped the pass from Canfield, and so now it's second down, and he goes back to Hall, and he is absolutely hammered. Ball is jarred loose after a huge hit by Al Afalama. Did he get a hold of him here? The strong safety. Ouch, babe. Well, Corey dropped one and was disengaged from one. Third down for Canfield. Goes right back to him the third time, and we got a flag down again as Hall is stopped at the 27-yard line. I want to go back to the thought we had.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense. Number 90. Low hit on the quarterback. 15 yards added to the end of the run.
Well, you can't do that. You can't do this. And watch number 90, Scott Solomon. You come in, you can't go late and low to the knees of the quarterback. Not in the National Football League.
As it relates to those running backs that could be the most marketable, all right? The name that always pops up from fans is Ingram. And I've said I don't know how many times, I think you would agree with me, Solomon. Mark Ingram's the guy you need on 3rd and 1. And how many times were the Saints, and have the Saints in recent years, been stopped on 3rd and 1? Oh, that ball was tipped in the air and then caught. Camarillo comes down with it. There's a KG veteran. How about that?
The official came in pointing in the direction that the Titans had the ball. So he's signaling it was a catch.
It was a catch.
But in the wrong direction.
How about that?
Caught by a New Orleans Saints.
Schumann had it. It went off of Schumann and then right to Camarillo, and that's a first down.
Yeah, that'll make Camarillo more likable in the locker room. Not as if he had a problem to begin with. I think that hit the ground.
It was trapped.
If you want to go take a look at that one, look at the point of the ball hit the ground.
Yeah.
Not only did the point hit the ground, that ball hopped back up after it hit the ground into his chest.
Well, he sold it, didn't he?
He tried.
Give Camarillo some credit. Hey, what's a preseason game without another review? Why not?
Yeah, it's in.
But here's my point. How many times has Sean Payton-led team had a variety of free agent running backs?
Previous players under review.
5th or 6th round draft picks at running back. When you take a guy number 1,
you moved up. You
from
moved the second round to the bottom of the first round.
There's no way
to take Ingram.
There's no way you put Mark Ingram on the trading block. No way.
Oh, he's too valuable to the team, and he's a very good player. Now watch that ball hit the ground. See there? I guess we have a third announcer in the building. Our producer told us that he did not think that ball hit the ground.
Scott Snyder. There's Mark.
There's Mark Ingram.
You will not meet a guy that's got his act together any more than Mark for all the success he's had, a Heisman Trophy, and he understood when he came to New Orleans in this offense that his overall numbers would not be as great as they would be in a lot of offenses, but very unselfish on all fronts.
I was reminded that he did not convert, 3rd or 4th and 1 at the end of the game, the initial game last season in Green Bay, and they lost the game.
Yeah.
But that game had no real bearing on the outcome of their season.
No. Vernon Davis had a bearing on the outcome of their season. That was
I think anytime we cite stats or facts, it's got to bear some weight to the overall point.
Yeah. Not allowing Vernon Davis to beat you had the most dramatic impact on the outcome of the Saints season last year.
Yeah, well, this defense has had some difficulty stopping tight ends, whether it was Vernon Davis last year or the Seattle Seahawks tight ends the year before in the postseason.
Well, there'll be a lot of 3rd and 1s in his future, and he'll convert more than he does.
Well, he did convert several last year. I just think he's so good around the goal line inside the red zone. It's where his true value is. He is good at converting 3rd and 4th and 1s, but down inside the red zone, he smells the end zone.
It really does, and he's got those special qualities that a number 1 draft pick is going to have.
And to me, what those qualities are, producing yards after contact. Not an easy man to tackle. Very good instinctive runner inside. You see him press the end zone. He smells the goal line to get the ball into the end zone. And look at the rookie recap. 122 rushes, more than any rookie running back 1 year ago, and then 3rd in terms of overall rushing yards.
The previous play is reversed. The ball hit the ground before being possessed by the New Orleans player.
And the other
2nd and 10 at the 42-yard line on the Tennessee hash. We will have 42 seconds on the clock. We'll start on the snap.
I'm going to give David Scott, tonight's referee, our white hat, a lot of credit. I think he's managed the game better than a lot of white hats that we've seen in these replacement officials.
No, they're getting better. I will say, after the Jacksonville game, I was quite discouraged.
Yes.
Tonight, I'm rather more input.
Yep. Canfield is stopped again behind the line of scrimmage. That sack going to the Tennessee Titans, the defensive end making the play that time, Keonta Dawson. That's a couple of sacks he's had tonight.
He comes right in and finds himself getting a sack. This offensive line, a 3rd string offensive line, I think for the most part, they've done a good job of keeping Sean Canfield upright and clean. Now, they've had to move the pocket a little bit. We've seen a number of reverse bootlegs and rollouts from Canfield. It's how you keep quarterback clean, throwing the ball on the run. But for the most part, I think he's been well protected.
Well, the Saints got the additional preseason game by playing at Canton. And given everything that the organization had been going through, especially with the decision to go with Aaron Cromer for these first few weeks while Joe Vitt is suspended, you begin to understand, and most people debate whether there should be a 4th preseason game. But for this organization at this time, Solomon, as you see Schumann going out of bounds with it, he's been a favorite target tonight. It probably worked out well for them to have the additional game.
Well, they were able to get extra work, and they were able to really define, I think, areas of their football team. You make these tough decisions, who to cut, who to keep. They started off playing well, and then I remember a game against Jacksonville, that 3rd preseason game where they didn't tackle well.
No,
they needed to have, I think, extra work, not just for the defense, the offense as well.
Canfield for Camarillo, and he's got it. That's a 1st down on a 4th down play.
What a throw from Canfield.
And Chris Hawkins brings him down.
This is just a really good throw. Talked about him having good protection. See, step up in the pocket, threaded between 4 defenders, 4 blue jerseys. Only Camarillo comes down with the ball. It was just a really good throw and challenging the teeth of the defense.
And the Saints then spiked it at the line of scrimmage to stop the clock. And they may be discussing getting more time put back on that clock. That may be what this discussion is about. Michael Higgins, the tight end, 81, and Derek Schumann, 83, have been the real favorite targets tonight. Higgins, 6 receptions for 74 yards.
He's done a good job of hauling it in. Remember, he had struggled at times early in camp, but I think for the most part had a really good preseason. Higgins is deserving of a spot on this team. I think so is Schumann.
Yeah.
We haven't talked maybe enough about the tight ends and the depth they have at that position. I think it's as good as it's ever been. And obviously they have the best tight end in football, in my opinion, in Jimmy Graham.
And I think you got the most versatile backup and David Thomas. I mean, that's a very versatile guy that you can line up anywhere. I know when they picked him up, when Loomis got him, he was as excited about that pickup as any, because he can also play fullback if necessary.
You asked that Houston Texans defense, they were ranked number 2 last year overall defensively. They could not cover Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
They could cover him, they just couldn't keep him from catching the ball.
Right. No, you're right.
Well, better said.
New Orleans has charged their third and final timeout.
Well, so I guess they got a timeout before they spiked the football. That's what they were discussing. There's Jimmy Graham. A record-breaking first season for him.
99 catches, over 1,300 yards receiving, often finding the end zone. This is a game of matchups, and in a game of matchups, no one can match up with Jimmy Graham.
Canfield under pressure. That ball is in the air. He was hit while the arm extended, and that wounded duck falls incomplete in front of Corey Hall.
Look at that. First on many of what he did. The second highest total by tight end in NFL history, his 99 receptions 1 year ago. Third highest in NFL history, 1,310 yards. And then he led all tight ends with yards per game last year. He was simply phenomenal.
14 ticks left on third down for Canfield. Corey Hall's got it, and he's down at the 30-yard line. And again, the Saints have utilized all their timeouts, and the clock is winding down on them. And that'll do it. The 2012 preseason comes to an end here in Nashville, Tennessee. And the Tennessee Titans win it by a final score of 10-6. Solomon, Mike Neighbors, and myself will be back to wrap it up in just a moment here on CST.